All right, we be live. Hello, Durud and Shalom. Hi, Ali.
Hey, how's it going?
Good,
How do you
good. Who are you
how do
and what
you
are you doing here? Oh, okay.
I am someone who joined Armin's discussion group on January 16th, and I've been a Iranian activist for a few years now, um, perhaps even since childhood. I've lived in both Iran and America, and I cannot wait for Iran.
Yeah, and guys, Ali is one of the brightest minds on our in our discussion group. And I always go to the discussion group thinking, what does Ali have for us today? And what does he think about this or that? Because I've been taking advantage of his brilliance, so I just wanted you guys to be able to take advantage of him as well. Okay, that sounded wrong, but I've convinced him to start like to work on his YouTube channel. So actually, let me put his YouTube channel. Okay, but while I put your YouTube channel in the chat, you go ahead, tell us what we're going to be talking about here today.
All right, so today we're going to be talking about some of the latest developments that just happened today on May 10th and what they're going to mean. And we think that we're moving back towards strikes, so we're going to explain to you guys why that's happening. Some key events to that happened today. And I actually made a map of where they happened.
Okay, let's
So
bring it up. And also, oh wait, we got a super chat. Say, feel free to cancel PG and talk freely. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you, Amir. Yes, actually, you're right, guys. There's no more limitations here. Oh, by the way, guys, Goldie. People are asking, "Where's Goldie?" Goldie is, I think she's busy because of Mother's Day. So that's why. But we're gonna go back to regular programming tomorrow. All right. So don't worry. This is not a coup. This is not. Goldie will be back. But yes. So Ali, what is this map?
So this is an interactive map that I made about the events that happened today, and they're going to be scattered throughout the Middle East and Washington. The first one that started, and we're going to show you guys a clip of this. It's basically the anti-air activity that happened over Iran earlier today. So it's a couple of hours earlier on the border between Iran and Iraq in a town called Dezful. And we're going to show you guys exactly what happened tonight. So go ahead and show you guys this. So that was the skies of the Iran-Iraq border tonight. You guys can see those explosions in the air there. This is caused by artillery. So these guys are not, there's no, sophisticated anti-air. We know that Trump's been talking about how those have all been taken out. And what actually ended up happening was that they did shoot down one of these drones. The US military and the Israeli military have sent hundreds of drones into Iran over the past couple of weeks, particularly over areas like Tehran, to probe out where the anti-air defenses could be, where the IRGC positions are. And I guarantee you that they definitely know where they are now. And shortly after that, we actually saw that today, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and President Trump did have a phone call today. And apparently, Prime Minister Netanyahu had to leave another call to attend this. And right after they finished speaking, which is about 4 hours ago, the Prime Minister of Israel called for a limited cabinet meeting, an urgent one. And so far, I believe personally, I don't know what you think, Armin, but I think personally, this is because they got the proposal from the regime, which we're going to go through right now in a second. But I believe that they got the proposal and they talked about it with each other and they've come to some sort of decision.
Yes, actually, I mean, do you want to show President Trump's latest Truth Social post? Because that is incredible.
Yeah, do you want to see what the regime proposed first, or do you want to see the statement?
Okay, yes, let's do that first and then go to President Trump's response. Okay, you lead the way then.
So this has been widespread reported so far, but the regime is not willing to dismantle their nuclear facilities. They also want a ceasefire in Lebanon. They want their assets that have been frozen to get them back. And basically, they're just giving this hardline position again, which suggests a couple of things, but they're really not willing to compromise. And we know you guys have talked about it on Iran Revolution Live a lot. It's because they can't compromise. They're going to lose their own followers. So I don't think this part, so on the nuclear issue, even if they do dilute part of their enriched uranium and transfer the remaining to like a third country, so Russia in this case, I don't think the United States is going to be completely okay with that. They were okay with that, it seemed like a month or two ago, but I don't know about now.
I think they tied their own hands. Like there is no way for them to maneuver, because of Mujtaba Khamenei coming out giving the statement that the nuclear is absolutely non-negotiable, but also because the past 60 days or so, they basically created this atmosphere in the streets by pro-regime, the pro-regime supporters, that they made them to get them very aggressive to support the Islamic Republic against the Iranian people uprising. They made them more radical, and they made them so radical that they kind of convinced them that they are strong, that they are victorious, and that made the pro-regime people so radical to the point that they think that anything short of complete destruction of United States and Israeli armies is unacceptable, given that they have the upper hand. So any signs of capitulation to the Americans would be seen as an act of betrayal. So basically, by creating that monster, the Islamic Republic has tied their own hand when it comes to the degree of maneuverability that they have. Is this how you see it?
Absolutely. Just look at this. This is what they want right here. They want an end to the blockade. They want to export their oil. They don't want sanctions anymore. Free the assets, ceasefire. Any single one of these is something that the US or Israel would never accept. And their own followers are believing that they're winning. A lot of them, genuinely believe that. And they will jump at each other's throats at any suggestion otherwise.
So, but they put this, if they put this offer out there, they probably know that the Americans will not accept this. So the offer is not even for the Americans. The offer is for the pro-regime people to show that we're not capitulating.
Yeah, so actually after this, so we're going to go to Trump's most recent statement. And so we're going to go to Washington here. I'm going to pull this up. Okay, so talked about this in the discussion group. Donald Trump said, "I have just read the response from Iran's so-called representatives. I don't like it. Totally unacceptable. Thank you for your attention to this matter." Correct me if I'm wrong, but for the past week, I hear like some aggressive posturing, but I haven't heard anything as aggressive as this. And we talked about a lot of times how usually aggressive statements come when they're militarily more ready, perhaps when the carrier groups are there or maybe the boxers there. But at the end of the day, I think he's genuinely fed up. How long has it been that he's trying to get a deal from them? And they give their final, or one of their final proposals, and we just saw it. They didn't really compromise on anything.
So what is the strategy you think by the Islamic Republic right now?
I think their hands are completely tied. I think they're going to continue their strategy of, hey, let's just wait it out. But at the end of the day, whoever you are at the head of the regime, you have access to information. There's no way that you're thinking that time is going to be on your side. I mean, if anything, the US made it so that time works against them. And we'll talk about that. Like, for example, the proxies. So I've always been trying to wrap my head around, like, this past few months, just what can the regime do? What can the regime do? They've played it poorly, to say the least.
But okay, let's try to be charitable to the position that they have had and see if there's, because I don't want us to be overly optimistic. We can't underestimate our enemy, right? What is the best case scenario for the Islamic Republic?
The best case scenario is that some sort of pressure forces Donald Trump to back off. It's probably the best case scenario.
I mean, the midterms are coming. If but this is not over by the midterms, do you think President Trump, like when it comes to the local politics within the United States, if this is not over by then, will President Trump be able to continue? Do you know anything about the pressure that President Trump is going to be facing internally? Is that what the Islamic Republic is relying on? Just survive it until the midterms?
As Petito said, these guys don't have really a general strategy for more than 48 hours. And if you're Vahidi right now, or if you're Ghalibaf, what is your long-term strategy here? It's the biggest question. I'm still scratching my head. But in terms of the midterms, about like 5 months away, I think what he's going to do by the midterms, and this was going to be irrelevant to Iran, he's going to do this either way. I think he's going to clamp down on the radical left and the Democrats as hard as possible, because losing the midterms would be pretty catastrophic, not only for the Republican Party during Trump's term, but in the future as well. And remember, the worst case scenario is the Islamic Republic survives Trump's term and somehow the next president comes as a Democrat and undoes everything.
Well, okay, so let me give you a survival scenario for the Islamic Republic and tell me what's wrong with it, okay? So if I'm Vahidi, I'm thinking that at the end of the day, no matter how many things these people blow up, no matter how much our revenue falls, I don't need that much revenue to be able to pay enough people to hold the Iranian people back. Okay. So even though like people are saying like, oh, the economy in Iran is collapsing. Okay. But if I'm Vahidi, I'm thinking like that means if the real keeps dropping, that means that with few dollars that I have left, my purchasing power when it comes to purchasing people is going to become higher, right? So as more Iranian people are getting poorer, it's going to be cheaper for me to buy loyalty. People are going to be desperate for money, so hiring people like to keep my dollars. I have lower dollars, but every dollar will go do a lot more for me compared to before. And like it's like President Trump said, it takes only like a few people with a machine gun to be able to suppress a population of 200,000 people in a city. So that's all I need to survive. I'm basically expecting that the Israelis are not going to do a ground invasion into Iran. The Americans are not going to do a ground invasion into Iran. At the end of the day, even if they want to do some ground invasion, they were going to come to try to get the uranium. Let's say they come in, they take it out. Still not enough ground troops to topple the regime. They might take some islands and southern Iran, and they're going to hold it for a while, and they're not going to stay there forever. They could keep it for a while, but at some point they have to go. And all I need to do to be able to maintain power is just continue to suppress the Iranian people if they want to do any uprising. That's the only strength that I need to have to be able to maintain my control, and everything else is not as relevant. and the Americans would come do a lot of things. They will destroy a lot of things. They will kill so many of my people, so many of my commanders. I mean, and so many of the most influential people that I have under my control. But if I survive this, eventually they have to go. They can't be here forever, right? They have to go. And if I could just stop an uprising, I could survive this. And not only I could survive this, once the Americans go, I will become the great like I will have everything, every single competition, and anybody else that I was supposed to share power with is gone. The supreme leader will become a symbolic supreme leader under my control. All the wealth of IRGC will be for me to control. There's not these other commanders that I have to share power with because they're all dead. There's very few of them, at least. And this is actually the most ideal situation. So how is that not going to work out?
So you're absolutely right. This is a winner takes all kind of game. And what you were outlining is the longer term strategy. And my defense to that is I agree with that long term strategy, plus the arming of the Iranian people is probably gonna happen if we go with that long term route. However, I'm more inclined to believe that we are in for a shorter game based off of the economic situation. If we're talking just purely money and financials, there's two things that we should talk about. One, the IRGC and the militias, if they're getting paid or not. And two, how much can the people take before they have nothing left to lose? And these militia are currently draining their resources. If you remember that convoy of the 300 trucks that came in earlier, oh man, that made me feel sick. But the only thing coming out of it is that they're in Iran and they are draining the resources of the Islamic Republic without looting and killing. This continues, and the question is, okay, if Vahidi wins and he takes all, does he have enough money to continue having enough people so that the next uprising does come, he has enough guns to stop them? That is it's a more of a question. If we had the data to see how much these militia are being paid, I think we'd be able to figure that out. But we know that the blockade, according to Saeed Qasemi-Najad, for this first week of May, has made it so that the regime has exported 0 barrels of crude oil and about 200,000 barrels of liquid natural gas through a pipeline. This is a far cry from the 2 million barrels a day that they were exporting just last month. That sudden cut of money would freak out any organization ever. So I'm kind of banking more on that in terms of how many guns they can have to hold people back. But let's just say they do have enough, and worst comes to worst. At the end of the day, we can't choose when the Iranian people come out. So when they do, that aerial support has to be there in the form of drones and whatnot. And those little people that have been armed so far are going to have to be the brunt, the brightest, the best of our people. What do you think about that?
So you're talking about the fact that the situation is so bad that we're going to have an uprising at some point. My question is like, okay, but how can an uprising be successful? Because the early January numbers were already very high and the regime managed to suppress it, right? But then you're saying so many regime officials are not getting paid. The comeback to that is that it doesn't take that many of them to get paid to be able to suppress. You only need a couple of thousand people, right? You don't need that many people. And even if the Islamic Republic's revenue is being cut, I think what they like to such a high degree, like what if they, like the people who are not going to get paid are going to be the teachers, the nurses, I don't know, so many different people, so many different government employees. The last people that they will cut will be the armed forces. There's so many other government employees before that you could stop paying before it even reaches the armed forces. And even if it does reach the armed forces, when it comes to suppressing the Iranian people, you don't need that. You don't need a giant army because the Iranian people are unarmed. You only need a few thousand. and that is not that expensive. That is money that you could still pay for with selling oil through different routes, which is going to be at a much smaller capacity. If we can't take it through the any of the ports of the Persian Gulf, there's land routes, and I know the land routes are very, very low in capacity and very expensive, sure, but it is still enough revenue to be able to pay enough armed forces to shoot into the crowds of Iranian people if they want to do an uprising. So
Here's what
how
I'm
would you
thinking.
respond to that?
So if we're down to a few thousand, okay, let's say, like, how many thousands do you think would be enough to hold the major cities? Were we thinking like 50,000 people?
For the whole country?
Yeah. The bare minimum, skeleton crew.
Skeleton crew.
Or we can just go with Tehran, for example. It's the most important one.
That's a very difficult question to answer. I
would say Tehran alone, maybe like 20,000.
20,000 for Tehran?
20,000.
So okay, so how many Iranian people came out, you think, in early January?
In a city like Tehran alone, or just in general?
In general.
Probably between somewhere around maybe 10 to 15 million, I'm guessing.
What? I don't.
You don't think so?
I don't think the streets have the capacity to.
Like in all of Iran?
People. Where do you get that number from? I mean, I don't want to.
It's just an eyeball number. I mean, like, it would be impossible to say. I don't even think anyone's tried to say how many people exactly came up, but we know there were millions. But let's go back to
it was above 1 million for sure, but I don't know if it was 10 because that's like 1 out of every 9 Iranian, you're saying, came out.
Yeah, excluding the sick, the elderly. But let's go back to the thing. So if you have,
by the way, can you move your camera because we're on different levels? It looks like I'm looking down. Can you lower your camera?
Yeah.
All right. People think I pulled up my seat. I did not. Like, it's just Ali that is.
No, I slouch, guys. Okay.
Sorry. Go on.
Yeah. So let's just throw the numbers out the window. But if we're thinking there is a smaller force of thousands that they have to pay to keep the Iranian people in check, there's 2 ways you can counter that. And I want to see what you think. So one, when you're taking out an army. So historically, guys, every time you fight a battle, your army versus the enemy army, 100,000 versus 100,000, and my army wins, I haven't taken out the entire enemy army. I've taken out maybe 20 to 30% of them, and the rest of them are running. And that's just what's happened. So I'm thinking, if we're down to like these thousands numbers, if we get rid of enough of them, the rest of them are probably going to start running and routing. And that's where the support comes in. So I guess at that point, you're right. The money wouldn't be an issue. You have enough people, enough money to pay them. But then the kinetic operations are pretty much going to wipe those people out, if not the people themselves. I mean, you can pick these guys off, however, throughout whatever period of time you want as well. What do you think about that?
So wait, which way you're talking about? You don't need to kill all of these people. Are you talking about? Sorry. Are you talking about if you shoot at only a few armed forces, that's enough to basically make the rest of them go home?
Yeah, I'm adopting the model of what we did with the checkpoints, and when we started hitting them, they stopped showing up.
Right. They stopped showing up. Who's going to be hitting them in this scenario that you're talking about? Iranian people or Israeli drones?
Let's say the Israeli and U.S. forces did not want to help, which is very not likely. The Iranian people themselves, the Garda Javi, don't want to have to step it up. Whatever weapons they have smuggled into the country, you're going to have to pick these guys off one at a time, and it would take a much longer period of time. The drones themselves would take much less time.
So yeah, if the Iranian people start fighting back with weapons, that will completely change our calculation. Okay. But so far we haven't seen that. that much of that, right?
Yeah.
So then your scenario of the revolution being successful require us needing to see something that we haven't seen yet. Does that make sense?
Something we haven't seen yet. Okay.
Because we haven't. I mean, we have seen a few anecdotals of the Iranian people using weapons to take out IRGC people, but you could count those on one hand, right? But right now, by the way, guys, don't get angry with me. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate to see if we're getting this right, okay? But if we are evaluating whether the Islamic Republic will survive this or not, are we evaluating it based on the stuff that we have seen happen, or are we evaluating it based on the things that we hope that will happen that hasn't happened? And if we are evaluating it based on the things that we hope that will happen that hasn't happened yet, how confident are we that it will happen?
Yeah, I tend to, in general, when I theorize, I love the hope aspect of it. But if we're talking about how can we bounce ideas off of each other, like me and you, and give it these devil's advocate, it's to make our argument robust. So we have to use more empirical evidence, like things we've already seen. Yeah, so bombing the checkpoints, we know that, they stopped showing up. Money made a lot of people stop showing up. The people themselves targeting these did not really make the Basij stop showing up. For them to do that, it would be at a large scale, which would induce a lot of civilian casualties because these animals, the IRGC, are just going to break into people's homes. They're going to lash out, probably things that we don't want happening, and want to mitigate that as much as possible. Things that we haven't seen before. There's a couple of things. We know that the Israelis have assets in Iran that they've had for a long time. They haven't used these because of the recent events, ceasefire and the stopping of the strikes. We know that Prince Joseph Pahlavi himself has assets that he hasn't used as well. To get these in coordination with each other would be very difficult, and that would be a hope, but we know that they're there. I would like to bank more on the kinetic strikes. I personally truly believe that we're going to go back to kinetic strikes. I'm pretty sure that this time they are going to target more of these smaller targets that are the instruments of suppression, as Joseph Pahlavi calls them. But something that we haven't seen is a great thing to think about. It's tough to say.
By the way, this is a very important Mother's Day message that we should read. And when we were in a discussion group, I'm going to respond to what you just said, Ali, but I just wanted to read this message because I remember in our discussion group, Sketch also was telling us to say something like this. Thank you so much for this message and the super chat. The message is from Voices of Iran in English. And the message reads like this: sons of the revolution, tell the mothers of the revolution their sons live on in you, and you will fight as best you can. Wish them a happy Mother's Day. Yes, and guys, we were in our discussion group, Ali and I, and there was this Sketch Therapy, his name is. He is an American, and he told us to tell Iranian mothers for Mother's Day that we are now their sons and daughters of the mothers who lost their children, that we're all their sons and daughters now. So thank you for that beautiful message in the chat, and also to Skesh who said that. That was a very powerful message. And guys, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers inside and outside of Iran. And yeah, just spend some time thinking this Mother's Day, thinking about the mothers who have lost their children in the uprising inside Iran. Just think of them as well. So going back to
by the way,
what? Yeah, go on.
That Voices of Iran English is Sketch's channel, and he translates some of Moad Vaisi and Reza Pahlavi's videos. He dubs
Ooh,
them
I
into
should.
English.
I'm gonna show that channel on. I'm gonna tell Goldie about this channel on Iran Revolution Live, because I think Goldie is going to really like this, because she likes to show Murad Vaisi and Princess of Pahlavi's messages. So actually, let me Princess of Iran in English. Let me actually find the channel. Why can't I find the channel? Hold on. Type channel. Oh, found it. So yeah, maybe I should also put the link to it in the chat. So guys, check this channel out. This is, Murad Vaisi, Princess of Pahlavi. This channel, I put the link in the chat for you guys if you guys want to go subscribe. Hold on. Sorry. It basically goes and translates these Persian videos into English using AI. Look at this here.
A very warm greetings to you.
Murad Vaisi speaking English. Look at this.
A very warm greetings to you. Currently, it is the morning of Saturday, the 19th of Ordibehesht. In the year
Wow, look at this, guys. You can now listen to Murad Vaisi in English, okay? And there's like, so again, guys, I put the link in the chat. Let me see. There's Princess of Pahlavi videos here.
Yet we have seen nothing but crime, plunder.
See?
When I see you,
all of this was in Persian, but now it's in English.
Hear from you, we have a serious problem.
They must stop these executions.
All right, so guys, just go subscribe to this channel and support this channel, because it's a very great idea. And I was gonna mention this on Goldie's channel, and I will do it. Oh, look at this. People like it. I'm saying my jaw dropped. Guys, all of this is in Persian, but is now in English in the same voice of the person speaking every single time. So I think this is really good. It will give you a much better perspective of everything Iranian. So just go, yeah, bye language barrier. Exactly. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that, Skish. That's a really great service, by the way. All right, so what was I saying? Okay, so I went and checked, saying according to European intelligence estimates, at least 1.5 million people protested in Tehran. Ooh, in Tehran alone on January 8th, 2026, with participation growing to an estimated 5 million people nationwide by January 9th. So it might be higher than that, but right now the estimate says 5 million. Okay. So here's some other information regarding how much it takes to suppress such a population if they're unarmed and you are armed. Okay. Historical counterinsurgency and stabilization doctrine offered some guidelines on the number of security forces required to suppress an uprising to stabilize a population, though there is no fixed formula. The most widely cited historical metric, often based on studies by the RAND Corporation, such as the work of James T. Quinlivan, I don't know, and reference in counterinsurgency manuals, is force density ratio. So here's the best estimate based on those strategic models: the 20 per 1,000 rule. So military planners often cite a minimum requirement of 20 security personnel for every 1,000 residents, which is a 1:50 ratio, to effectively control a population and suppress an active insurgency or mass uprising. So let's apply that to Iran. Total population inside Iran, so they say 89 million people. I don't know if that's accurate, because I know a lot of Iranians are outside. I know we are 93 million in total. Is 89 inside? I don't know. Let's say 89. Required force using the 20 to 1,000 ratio. Oh, wait, is that ratio for per population or per people in the street? Okay, so let me see. Using the 20 per 1,000 ratio, the regime would theoretically need an active security force approximately 1.7 million personnel. Really? to assert total physical control. Really? So it's based on the total population, or is it based on the people in the street? I think this is getting it wrong. Is the 20 per 1,000 ratio based on the total population or the people present in the street in the uprising? So I have to reevaluate. What do you think? So let me actually recheck this.
So I know the police like that 1 to 50 number, or I think it's more of like a 1 to 1,000. It sounds like, well, if we're grabbing 89 million people, then yeah, because we're accounting for everyone, old, sick.
Wow. So look at this. The 20 per 1,000 ratio is based on the total population of the operational area. Whether that is
operational
a
area.
specific, yeah, not the number of active protesters. Okay, so based on this, the regime has no chance. If that's the case. Okay, they have zero chance. Okay, but one thing that this metric might not take into account is that no regime is as brutal and evil as the Islamic Republic. Like other regimes usually don't shoot into just crowds of people, you know, like the Islamic Republic does. So maybe we should take that into account as well.
They're definitely not taking into account just mounted machine guns. There's no way.
So this number doesn't take into account the fact that the Islamic Republic is willing and able to just use machine guns and shoot into crowds of people. How would the number be adjusted if we take that into account? Sorry, I'm using AI to figure out. I'm using the pro version of Gemini to see if we could come up with an estimate. Is this a good way of trying to figure this out, or no? This exercise.
I mean, our combined IQ is like, I don't know what, maybe sub 300. That IQ is like 20,000. So
wait, I was like, look at this. Somebody saying Armin was right. The Islamic regime sort of risking pouring oil into the sea. What is that? I don't know what the rest of that is.
Should be the Hard Island dump.
Yes. Yeah, guys, unfortunately, I was right about that. I was thinking that maybe I'm going crazy, but unfortunately, I ended up being correct about that. Okay, look at this. So it says you are right. The 20 per 1,000 metric fundamentally assumes the goal is stabilization, meaning the state wants to police the population, minimize casualty, and maintain routine civil functions. It is, yeah. So that doesn't apply to the Islamic Republic. I think you need much less numbers. So if you're willing to do that, so just give me the number. Taking that into account, given what the Islamic Republic is capable and willing to do, give me a short answer. What would be the number of people that the Islamic Republic needs? So, anyway, so while it thinks about that, do we have any other updates? What do we know about what Prime Minister Netanyahu just recently said? What do you like? What can you give me more details regarding the cabinet meeting, or is it just that? I know the 60-minute interview came out, but they had only one segment of it, and we can't play it. So, what is the significance of that, and what is the significance of the cabinet meeting?
Okay, so two things: the cabinet meeting and the most recent interview regarding Prime Minister Netanyahu. So in 60, I think was it 60 minutes? But in a recent interview that was actually released today, Prime Minister Netanyahu talks about how he and President Trump are aligned. They both want to get the uranium out of Iran, whether the regime agrees to do it or not. They're going to go in and take it by force, make sure that the nuclear facilities are dismantled, the ballistic missile capability is dismantled, and the proxy funding is cut. And he's been saying that forever. So his goals have not changed. And he did say that him and President Trump, at least on a nuclear issue, are aligned. So yeah, that definitely points to us going back towards this conflict, because neither the regime nor Israel is willing to back down. The limited cabinet meeting, all we know was that as soon as he finished his call with President Trump at 12 p.m., he called for an immediate virtual meeting with his cabinet, just a few people from his cabinet, the same people that I assume he usually makes big decisions with. So that's why I think today some sort of decision has been reached. I think their patience is just run thin, especially if you're Trump.
But how do you imagine them going out and getting that enriched uranium without regime change, or without the Islamic Republic? So there's three options to get the uranium out, right? Regime change, the Islamic Republic surrendering and giving up the uranium, or the Americans moving in and doing some ground operations and taking it out. The reason why we could be somewhat optimistic about regime change is because I can't see how that two other options would work, right? I can't see the Islamic Republic giving up the enriched uranium. I mean, it's possible, but it's very hard to imagine. And I can't see the military operations required to go into Iran while the Islamic Republic is still there, putting American boots on the ground, do a very complicated, not just military operation, but a very complicated and long multi-day engineering operation, like digging the enriched uranium from the rubble deep under the ground. It's like while protecting the American, both soldiers and engineers responsible in that operation. That is like that has never been done. And what do you think? Is that even possible?
Not only is that extremely difficult to do, but it's also risky. Why would you, do something that risky when you can continue the operation so far with the, I think around, 10 to 15 casualties that have happened so far? Why would you risk hundreds of American soldiers and engineers, some of whom are very, very highly trained and invaluable? I don't think so. It's also, if something were to go wrong, these American soldiers and engineers would be hit all in one spot. Like this one operation would have hundreds of casualties. I'm just thinking about it. I don't think that they would ever go through with that.
So isn't the regime change the only option to get this done?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the argument for regime change happening. Okay. I can't see the Americans giving up without getting that enriched uranium. Okay. And I can't see getting that enriched uranium without regime change. Right? That's a 2 + 2. That's basically the back of a napkin calculation of this. What do you think? Is this accurate? Right? Like, do you think I'm basically calculating this correctly? Americans are not going to abandon this without getting the enriched uranium. The Islamic Republic is not going to give it up. And it's very, very difficult, close to impossible, to go get it out with a type of a ground operation. That means that we need regime change. That means we're going to have regime change. Is that how it is? Or did I miss anything?
And to do the regime change, you're right. And to do the regime change, you need people. You need the Iranian people.
You need the Iranian people.
There's no amount of bombing from the air that would do it. And even the economic strangling, at the end of the day, as you just said, worst comes to worst, they'll stop paying their own supporters on the streets. They'll, cut a lot of unnecessary stuff. All the government employees, no more money to them. Just these militias, just the IRGC are getting money. How sustainable is that? Not very, but it would last a while. So you need people at the end of the day. So it all comes back to the Iranian people. I think every single plan that the Pentagon drew up, at the end of the day, if the goal was regime change, everything comes back to the Iranian people. I don't think there was any other alternative other than boots on the ground, American boots on the ground, which there is no appetite for. Yeah.
So I have some numbers for you. Okay. So AI's calculation, which I don't know, I'm just saying, just take it with a grain of salt. Okay. So to suppress an uprising through unrestricted lethal force and mass casualty terror tactics in emerging urban centers, the Islamic Republic relies on a highly concentrated radicalized core. They need approximately 100,000 to 300,000 completely loyal personnel drawn from the most hardened units of the RGC and active Basij, willing to indiscriminately shoot into crowds. So the number that Gemini Pro is giving to me is 100,000 to 300,000. Okay. What do you think about that number before I move?
I don't think they have that many left, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I think the standing Basiji force was, what, 400,000 strong when we didn't touch them? 100 to 300,000 is just not possible. More than half of these guys are not showing up anymore. I think more like 20,000 is probably required. You don't need to man any checkpoints. You just need to go throughout the city. If you're the Islamic Republic, this is what you can do. You can get these militias and the IRGC. You can just have them go throughout the city and just kill people indiscriminately. It doesn't even matter who they are. Just shoot them. If people go back to how it was, so in January 8th and 9th, remember there was a period of time where we were like, wow, genuinely, if anyone steps outside, they're getting shot at. And that was, I think, a very big factor. It was like, oh, even if I don't show up at the protest and I go outside, I'm going to get shot at. That's something that they might do, which would be, I don't know, somehow I think the woke left would still defend them. I think some countries would still strongly consider joining or doing something about it. And, you know, that would be a very bad scenario, which I don't think we would want to happen or even let happen. It would be extremely terrible given how Trump this entire time is like Iranian people. And then for that to happen again would destroy the morale of the Iranian people, which is already right now taken a slight dip. Like, remember guys, it's up here. We've taken a slight dip, but we're still up here. Like, everyone in Iran is still gearing to go, ready to get rid of these guys. They just need this chance. But they're confused. They don't know what's going on. To be fair, no one knows what's going on.
Wait, I'm gonna actually add a widget to your channel as well. Follow Ali. Guys, I put Ali's channel in the the link to his channel in the chat, but now I could also do this. Look at that. Here. Save. Also, make sure you scan this QR code if you guys wanted to. Why can't I put this to the right side? Like, it's like there's a, look at over there, guys. You see on the top right corner, there's an entire empty area that I should be able to move this barcode over there, but I can't, which is ridiculous. You know what? I know how to make some free space. But anyways, if you scan that, it will take you to Ali's channel. I'm just going to move the camera. So there's some empty space above my head. And now we're actually at the same level. That's fantastic. See? Fixed it. Okay, so I'm just going to keep that on. Okay, so I saw Amir in the chat saying, Armin, did you see President Trump's post? Yes, let me bring it up again. Wait, hold on. Okay, guys, so this is what everybody is talking about. President Trump posting, I have just read the response from Iran's so-called representatives. I don't like it. Every time I read this, it makes me laugh. It's just, I don't like it. Isn't it? I love how direct he is. It's like totally unacceptable. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Okay, Ali, here's a message from somebody inside Iran. Can you respond? Can you translate this and also respond to him?
Armin ma, I can't read it. No, نامیدیم
No.
داخل ایران به خاطر Sorry, my Farsi reading is slow. Guys, by the way, I'm born in the US,
Oh,
born
okay.
and raised.
Sorry.
Um,
sorry.
What's
Sorry.
the
Did I
last
put you
word
on the
there?
spot?
Look at that.
Okay, did
No,
I?
this is great, dude. The more I
Muzakira.
practice, the better. But
Okay,
the last word,
Muzakirat.
mozakirat. Okay, so this message is saying that Armin, we've lost hope inside of Iran because of these negotiations.
Yeah, how would you respond to him? Do you
I
want to
actually
respond
deal
to
with
him in
this.
Persian?
I actually deal with this problem like on a daily basis, and I so far have not like. Okay, ببین من هر دفعه که با این مشکل برطرف میشم سعی میکنم که بهشون بگم که ببین این اتفاقا داره میفته، منظورشون اینه هنوز دارن نیرو میارن توی این مثلا دوره برا الان 2 برابر نیرو داریم و ببین از اون اولش نه رژیم نه آمریکا آماده بود که هدفشون رو از دست بدن و هیچی عوض نشده. هیچی عوض نشده. و همین حرفایی که شما گفتین که ناامیدین از چند ماه پیش قبل از اینکه جنگ شروع شد، الان داریم همینو میزنیم. ولی ببین هیچی عوض نشده. هدفشون همون موندن. پس برمیگردیم و پیروز میشیم. از این من شکی ندارم. So in
So
English,
Ali just told him.
yeah, go for it.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Okay, so I actually am faced with this problem a lot because I do talk with people in Iran, and especially in the younger generation, everyone's thinking the same thing as what Mehdi just said. They're hopeless and they're confused. They all want the regime gone, but they're just confused and they're starting to lose hope. Their morale is starting to go down. And I keep telling them, hey, remember, we're still bringing troops into the area. The goals are still the same. The regime and the US and Israel, their goals have never changed. It stayed the same. So what makes you think now, after the US and Israel was willing to go to war to achieve their goals, that they're just going to stop, pack up, and leave? If they were moving troops out of the area, I would freak out. And I'd be like, okay, guys, what's going on? I'd start getting confused. But back to where a few months ago, with where the war started, I was saying the same thing. Look at the troops coming in. Look at the goals. Look at what's saying. They can negotiate as much as they want. It doesn't really matter. We were saying the same things a few months ago. And look what happened. Look where we are now. And lastly, we didn't get this far to stay this far.
We didn't come this far to only get this far. Look at this. Somebody else is also saying خیلی حالمون بده رفقا, which means like we're really feeling really bad. Like he's telling us, like, these are messages from Iranians saying that they feel really there's a huge problem with hope right now in Iran. They think that negotiations mean that the world has forgotten them and they're just trying to make peace with the regime. I don't think that's happening. I don't think, like, this is, again, guys, remember what's happening. It doesn't seem like it. I mean, I'm not trying to sell you dreams and say give you false hope, okay? I'm just telling you honestly, I just don't know how you could just, even if the Israelis, obviously they want regime change, okay? The Iranian people want regime change, the Israelis want regime change. The reason why so many Iranians are losing hope is because they think that the Americans don't necessarily want regime change. They only care about the nuclear stuff. That's the reason why they're losing hope. They think the Israelis want regime change, the Iranian people want regime change, the Americans would just be happy if they come up with a deal. The thing is that we don't see a path to a deal. Do you guys see a path to a deal? I mean, maybe we're missing it. Do you see a path to a deal, Eli?
No, nothing's changed if you think about it. Has the US said anything different? Has the regime said anything different? Even if they do a major concession and let's say they're like, all right, fine, sunset clause, we're not going to enrich uranium for 20 years. Is the US going to accept that? When Trump has been criticizing Obama and Biden so much for the JCPOA, for the sunset clause, or anything like that, right? Is he going to come and do it himself? No, absolutely not. But I understand.
Oh, by the way,
when you're living there and you're being crushed economically, and all of a sudden the mood shifted, as in the strikes happened out of nowhere, if you're a regular Iranian citizen, and you got all this hope, and then the strike suddenly stopped a month and a half later, and now you're like, oh, they're going back to talking. So logically, if I'm a regular, just I know nothing, okay, the strikes happened, the regime is still in power, and now they're talking to get a deal. So they're probably going to get a deal. But if you just dig a little bit deeper, you look at the terms, still the same.
Yeah, still the same. And guys, right before Operation Epic Fury started and Khamenei died, you guys were saying the same thing. We were feeling the same thing, remember? And then it happened, and then Khamenei died. So
not only that, but the best part was that literally like hours before, even like a day before, Trump's like, Khamenei, yeah, I thank him. Thank you, Khamenei. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then 24 hours later, boom. People act like that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Is it okay if I go back to the calculation that we're having? Okay, so maintaining the cost, the 100,000 to 300,000 core IRGC Basiji people, like let's say that the Islamic Republic needs between 100,000 to 300,000 armed forces to be able to continue suppressing the Iranian people. So Gemini Pro says that costs billions of dollars annually. Historically, the IRGC's official state budget has hovered around $7 billion to $10 billion, but is supplemented heavily by off-book revenues. So can the Islamic Republic afford it under the current US blockade? So Gemini thinks yes in the short term. Here's why. Absolute priority. The regime survival depends entirely on the loyalty of these trigger pullers. The state will systematically defund and starve the civilian economy to ensure the security apparatus gets paid. Hey, that's what I was thinking. Okay. The IRGC's parallel economy. The IRGC is a massive economic cartel. They control underground markets, border smuggling, and overland trade corridors into Central Asia that bypasses the maritime blockade. Blockade endurance. Current intelligence estimates suggest. By the way, guys, it does bypass that maritime blockade, but it doesn't have the same capacity. It just buys them some time. So current intelligence estimates suggest Tehran has enough floating storage and systemic workarounds to weather the acute shock of the U.S. naval blockade for several months before total structure failure. Because the Iranian public has demonstrated profound aggression and determination rather than settling for quiet coexistence, the regime knows it cannot scale back repression. The civilian economy will crash, but the regime will funnel its last remaining dollars to the enforcers standing between them and the people. So I asked for the cost estimation if the regime stops paying everybody else except the armed forces. So this is the cost estimate by Gemini. Approximately 1.5 to 3 billion annually, aligning with combined 2.9 billion officially allocated to the IRGC and law enforcement in Iran's 2026 budget. So let's say that the minimum they need is 1.5 billion annually. So can they afford this? They said yes. If the regime adopts a pure bunker strategy, completely defunding civilian infrastructure, public services, and government workers to exclusively pay the 300,000 enforcers needed to suppress the population, they can sustain it despite the U.S. and naval blockade. Here's why. Overland trade, total ruthlessness. I'm not going to go into all of that, but this is what I said. So this makes me feel a little bit pessimistic, meaning that even with the blockade, you only need $1.5 billion annually to be able to pay a suppressing force to stop an uprising. Before I go to the next section, what do you think about that?
And this was for 100,000.
This was for 300,000.
300,000. I mean, I
So
love
it would
that was
be
Gemini,
less, yeah.
right? Like I love Gemini; it's my favorite one, but they don't got 300,000 people to have weapons.
Yeah, but if you need only 1.5 billion to pay for 300,000, even if you don't have it, you could find people to pay that much money for to suppress the people. Like 1.5 is not that much. They have that.
It's not that much. They do have that. For them to sacrifice everything else to keep these people running is obviously short-term strategy. For these people to start getting picked off is another thing. Yeah, I guess, here's what I'm thinking. Economic fury and the blockade and all of this, I guess if the regime turtles up, which we just talked about, we just calculated, then they technically still stay in power. Like they don't care if their country turns into Cuba. Like they don't care if Iran turns into Cuba. So at the end of the day, it circles back to the Iranian people. I think
Yes.
I've thought about that's the only thing. Like every time I'm like, okay, what? Iranian people. And I'm like, okay,
Iranian
there's
people
got to
every
be
time, yeah.
something else. No.
There's no other way to fix this other than the Iranian people. And that's why you're completely correct. It always comes back to the Iranian people. But this is why every time I tried to see if the Iranian people would be capable of toppling the regime. Okay? Not the Americans, not the Israelis, because they can help, but it's up to the Iranian people to stand against the regime forces, right? And here's my last question, and this is why I think this is what's needed. Because look at this, the numbers don't look good. If the Islamic Republic can suppress a 5 million people uprising with only $1.5 billion, if they basically remove money from everything else, this is why I think the solution is to arm the Iranian people, right? I always come back to this. Like, you come always back to the Iranian people. I after that, I always come back to arming the Iranian people. And look, this is the question I ask here. What if the Iranian people get armed? How would that change this calculation? And here's the answer. If the Iranian people became armed, the conflict shifts from suppressing civil unrest to fighting an urban insurgency, which completely breaks the regime's current mathematical advantage. Here's how the calculation changes. Loss of asymmetric power. A small core of 100,000 to 300,000 men is no longer sufficient. When the opposition can return fire, the shock value of firing machine guns into crowds disappears, and the regime loses its primary force multiplier. Manpower surge. Counterinsurgency doctrine dictates the regime would immediately need to return to at least the 20 per 1,000 ratio. So 1.78 million troops to hold territory or maintain a 10-to-1 numerical advantage over the armed fighters just to avoid losing ground. Exploding costs. The financial burden shifts from simply paying enforcer salaries to funding a full-scale war. The regime would have to constantly supply ammunition, repair armor, and replace casualties. Sustaining heavy urban combat under a U.S. naval blockade would rapidly deplete their military stockpiles and cash reserves. The defection trigger. Because the Iranian public has already demonstrated high levels of aggression and determination, and armed resistance forces a breaking point. Security units that are perfectly willing to massacre unarmed civilians frequently fracture, abandon their post, or defect when they start taking heavy sustained casualties themselves. There you go. That fixes everything.
Okay, so we've found out that Gemini is as smart as me and you combined.
Yes, close. Yes.
Okay, so exponential costs if the Iranian people are armed and fighting them. So then their economic model is just thrown out the window because their income is limited, and they've cut costs, they've cut their expenses so much already, so they just can't produce more money. So once you start fighting them, more and more of them will defect based more on money than the like fighting itself. Personally, I always have preferred the US and Israel having their drones set up and providing support that way, because I believe that will cause less casualties in the long run, because we're talking about a prolonged conflict with the Iranian people taking back their country, which takes, time, perhaps even years, could drag on that long, and that would cause a lot of people to die, not even just based off the conflict, but the lack of food, medical supplies, and etc. Okay, so these people, there's like 100 to 200,000 that they have $1.5 billion. Yeah. Why not just do both? Why not just do both? Why not just have the drone strikes, and why not have the Iranian people armed as well at the same time? That would just accelerate it so much faster.
Yeah, both would be amazing. That's how it's done, though. Like, it's obvious that's how you do this, like, in my opinion. Right? Like in both your opinion as well, apparently, right? This is the obvious solution, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we reached a point right now where we didn't, like, in the beginning, we didn't have that economic option, right? We only had the kinetic strikes. Now we've achieved the economic blockade and strangling of the regime, and we can go back to the kinetic strikes. So why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we double our pressure? And then why wouldn't we triple our pressure from having the Iranian people rise up right after we finish the kinetic strikes?
Right.
Also, guys, these videos are all made. Remember, Trump pre-records them, Prince Rose Valley pre-records them. They're completely prepared for every single scenario. And they know that as soon as we go in one direction, they know how to shift their strategy as well. So this period of time where we had the ceasefire, Prince Rose Valley traveled to Europe, and he's been meeting with a lot of governments. And then most importantly, I think it was either this week or next week, or maybe it already happened, but he's met with several key tech figures who are all Persian. And basically his point is he's doing everything he can during right now, where it's a little bit quieter and he knows he has more bandwidth to do things, to set up the future of the Iranian people as much as possible. So for some people who are wondering where is he, what he's doing, that's what he's doing. He's waiting, and when it kicks off again, he's ready. He's there.
We have a question. Do you want to answer this one? How would drone strikes be coordinated to prevent accidentally hitting Iranian people as they rise up?
Yeah. So you can't say that there won't be any like collateral damage. You can't say that there won't be any mistakes. And I'm going to be the first one to say that, there will be mistakes, because you will never ever have seen this kind of technology employed at such scale before. Okay, one super simple way. In all the videos that you saw in January 8th and 9th, the IRGC, even when they wear plain clothes, are armed, and people are generally running away from them. So that's probably the easiest way that you can tell. As for the technology to see like a bird's eye view, it's already there. It's been there for a long time. But yes, they're like, keep in mind, guys, everything that we're talking about, every avenue that we take, the Iranian people suffer the most. And they've been suffering. And we're trying to end that suffering.
Here's another question. Some Mozi is asking, if people have nothing and will starve to death, why would they just sit at home and die? I mean, so Ali, I'll let you respond to this, but I think, guys, when it comes to the Iranian people, the economic condition is at the level of malnutrition, not starvation, but it's still at the level that the Iranian people will not tolerate. Okay, because you have to remember, Iranian people have already been used to a higher standard of living, and this drop is not something that they will tolerate. And malnutrition is already pretty bad, but we're not. The thing is that starvation requires, because you're always going to have, I don't know, like really cheap garbage food, like you're always going to be able to get bread or beans or something. It's just that you have to change your diet, and you're just going to have to go for empty calories without any nutrition in it, which is going to cause a lot of health issues. But it's something that the Iranian people are not at all. Here's the thing: when it comes to the most basic needs, you see the most pain in healthcare cost, in people not being able to afford their medicine or chemotherapy or their operation or their doctor's visit. That's where the most pain is. Is that your understanding as well, Ali?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, that's one thing, but then their future is another thing. None of these people think that
Yes.
they're going to be able to make more money in the future. If anything, it's just they're just going to keep bleeding money. And if you're thinking, well, if I'm going to just keep having less and less money, well, why don't I just do something now? Why wait?
Right. All right. So I think this was a good analysis. Do you agree? Oh, this is me.
Yeah. Apparently the 60-minute interview, like the full thing came out. So people have been sharing clips of that where Netanyahu is saying, in Iran, they name streets after me. Do you know that? Well, after President Trump too, obviously, because he's leading the fight. But they have this. I don't speak Farsi, but they call me Bibi Jun. So he.
Oh,
now he
wait,
knows.
do you have that? Oh, okay. I can't play that. God,
You can't
that's
show it, but
6
I'll
minutes.
play it here. Let me
Go show it.
pause the clip. And then,
Oh my God. Wish we could show that. 60 minutes is so bad with copyright, unfortunately. That is so sweet. Don't play it. We're gonna get nuked
yeah.
by the copyright gods. Oh, you want to bring it up here?
So now he knows.
That is so sweet. Wish we could play it. God damn it. Guys, go watch that.
Senator Lindsey Graham's been saying the same thing all day. He knows that the regime is not going to change. The negotiation solutions make no sense. I like the ominous wording today from everyone. President Donald Trump is saying, totally unacceptable. A couple days ago, what did he say? He said like a huge glow. Lindsey Graham saying, "Stay tuned." Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, wait, do you have the stay tuned post? Where is that?
Yeah, I'll bring it up right now.
That's a big one as well. Because last time he said stay tuned, but we had Khamenei died shortly after. So he knew something. Yeah, stay tuned. Guys, isn't that exactly what happened before? Lindsey Graham was like, yeah, stuff are gonna happen soon, and then it happened. So he knows things.
Where is it? I don't know which is this one. Yeah, there it is. It's right here. He posted.
Okay.
This was like his first tweet of today.
Oh, stay tuned. Oh my God, that's fantastic.
From my understanding of the situation, that could be a disastrous mistake by the Iranian. He's referring to the proposal that the regime gave. Stay tuned.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and then all of his tweets today were about Iran. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So this is good. Are you happy with the stream, Andy? Or you think this was good? Good analysis?
Yeah, this is fun. In school, we don't get to have this endless brainstorming.
Right.
So I've been wanting to do that with you for a while now. But yeah, everything points towards.
You want to do this more often? We could do this more often.
Yeah, we should do it. We'll just discuss
Okay.
the events of the day, the current events, and then what we think about them.
Okay, fantastic. How many subscribers did you had before we started?
I've had 180. I just started my YouTube channel, guys, this week.
Okay, so we're at 210 now.
Let's go.
Guys, please, let's get Ali to 1,000. Okay. So here, link in the chat. Go subscribe to Ali. Let's get him to 1,000. So he just started. So
And then
let's make
in
it
the
happen.
future as well, I am planning on going to Iran, and you guys will be seeing videos that are like, I snuck into an Iranian university and this is what it's like, or I tried to spend $100 in Iran. Or I spoke to Iranians on the street about their hopes about the future, like things about that.
Yes, guys. When Iran is free, Ali wants to go to Iran and basically introduce us to all things Iranians, the most interesting things in Iran. So get in early into his channel so that you can. Oh, look at this! People are now excited. Like, wow, can't wait to see. See, yeah, that's the stuff people like to see. You know,
I have this
like,
idea.
they want to see the. Yeah.
I have this idea where, so I play the santur. My dad plays it, and I learned from him. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's an Iranian instrument. And I really want to go because they play a lot of, like, there's a lot of musicians in Iran that play the santur. So I want to go and just find one, maybe like on the street who's playing or something like that, and just go and be like, wow, like in English and like American accent, be like, wow, like what instrument is that, dude? That's really cool. Like, teach me about it. Like, can I try playing it? And I'll just start playing, like, you know, like pretty proficiently, and we'll be like, what the
You
heck?
surprised? Oh, surprise! Oh, that's so good. Okay, like, what is that thing?
Yeah.
Give it to me. Let me try. That's great. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, you know what? One of our episodes, can you play Centaur for us?
Yeah.
I
don't know how the
Yeah,
audio
okay.
is going to transfer over, but I'll try.
I think if you just remove the echo cancellation and the background noise remover, then it should be fine.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Oh my God, you're at 255. Growing fast.
25% of the way there.
Yay, guys, we're already a quarter there. Link in the chat. We're getting to 1,000.
Yeah, just don't look at my. Actually, I should probably move my TikTok link out of there
Why?
because
No, keep it.
I just feel my TikTok. I just made like stupid videos. Like they're all Persian, of course, but they're all like stupid stuff. And I'm talking about like all this like serious political stuff. And it's just funny.
It's okay. You could keep it.
Yeah.
People like to see the other side of you.
All right. The last thing that we can touch on for like 10 seconds is that President Trump's about to go to China, guys. He's about to talk to Xi Jinping, and he's going to tell him that we have complete control of the strait. And if you want your oil, stop giving the regime support. And I think that's why, if you guys watch the 60-minute interview, Prime Minister Netanyahu is a little bit hesitant. I think that's why he doesn't want to say anything that'll give away and reduce Trump's leverage, which, by the way, he has all the leverage he wants. Oh, and lastly, if people are like, wouldn't Trump want to wait until after the negotiations with China to pick up the strikes? Not necessarily. What if he just starts them anyway, and he does get complete and utter control of the strait with Project Freedom? And then, you know, that's like the best way to show China that, hey, if you want, I can let your ships through, and if you don't want, I won't let them through.
Oh wait, so that's the leverage.
His leverage is basically this: we can open the strait, we can close the strait, and nobody else can, because we already asked everyone to try and come and help, and no one came. So if you want your oil, which 30% of your foreign export of oil came from Venezuela and Iran, well, you're in trouble now.
So you think China will listen to President Trump because of all of this leverage?
I think they're going to push back, but I think, you know, like, Xi's someone who's going to make a deal. You know, Vahidi's not someone who's going to make a deal. Xi is going to make a deal. I think they're going to come to some sort of conclusion. I think, honestly, in the grand scheme of things, Trump's conversation with Xi, like, Iran's going to be a footnote. Iran's going to be like, hey, by the way, can you do me a favor, Xi? Just stop supporting them. Kind of like that.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think this was a very high level analysis of everything. I'm happy with the stream. I think we should do more of it. I think when I talk to you, we go into a lot of detail, right? Like a lot of We get very analytical, which I like. So we should do more of it. And we should, next time when we do this, we should also answer more questions from the chat, because people, we should take advantage of Ali's, way of looking at things and answer some questions when you're here.
Yeah, you guys want the Gen Z perspective? Give it to you.
No. Allah, someone saying Allah level analysis. Wow, so many people who are commenting on your channel now.
Oh, really?
People have gone, yeah, great job, Ali. That's great. Wow, look at these. These are comments from your channel. Okay, great. Ali's channel is growing. Let's see, where are you right now? Let me see if we got even more. 270. We got to 270. Yay, we're getting to 1,000 soon.
We did it.
Yes, we're doing it. All right, guys, I need to go before I get in trouble with certain somebody. So, Samantha is saying great, amazing job. Well, thank you, Samantha. All right. Okay, guys. So, wait, are you an atheist like me?
Oh my God, that's the biggest question I wanted to ask you. So if I were to ever interview you, that was be one of the main questions. Okay, so me, like most Iranians, and like you, we grew up in a Muslim family. You're just like kind of like Muslim by association, and then around for me it was like 10, where I was like, I'm sick of like, what is this? Like I don't resonate with this. Like you walk in, you're like, which hand do I wash first? Which foot do I step in with first? Like all of that. Like when do I get up from the prayer? When do I put my head back on the rock? Like whatever. It just never really clicked for me. And I was like, this is just a way to control people. And then I just stopped thinking about God and religion altogether. Like just stopped thinking about it. So what does that make me?
A pantheist? Do you care about religion or God?
Care in what way?
Do you, okay, so if I ask you, do you believe in God? Would you say yes? Would you say no? Or would you say I don't care?
I would say I believe in that there's something there, but in the way that like most religions think that there's like a God, like a one God. No.
So what is that one thing? Like what is it? What is that thing?
That's the level. That's as far as I think about it. It's just I think there's something there. I don't think it's like a one
What does that
God.
mean?
Like there's something maybe even smarter than us out there.
So it has intelligence.
It could be a simulation. It could be like an entity. It could be whatever. I just think there's something there.
Is that something intelligent or not intelligent?
Intelligent.
Okay, so you believe in an intelligent force.
Yes, even if it's a simulation, someone had to have created it.
Okay, so do you believe that exists, or do you think that's something that could exist? But which one is like? Do you believe in it, or could?
Yeah, because like for those of you who don't know, like I studied data science. I was a data scientist, then I became a medical scientist. So I'm very much like empirical evidence. Like show me the evidence, and I will believe it. And yeah.
So right now, do you believe in the theory that there is a intelligent force above us, beyond us, or are you just hypothetically saying it could exist?
It's like a hypothetical. Yeah.
Okay. So you don't believe in it then? It's just
I can't say like I fully believe in it. It would be like a very shaky.
Okay, so
I don't know what that is. Like, what am I?
Well, I mean, technically, if you don't believe in something that you could call a god, technically you're an atheist.
Okay.
If you said, I don't care, I don't think about it at all, you would be an apatheist. Like you have apathy towards it, like you don't care. Right? But if you don't believe in such a thing, then you're an atheist. Even if you think it could exist as a hypothetical, but you don't believe in it, like you don't actually, do you make the claim that such a thing exists, or you just basically, this is just a mind experiment for you?
Yeah, I think that a simulation is probably, it's like a 50-50 for me. I think there's like a good 50% chance that.
But if we are in a simulation, would you call the people who coded us gods or no?
A higher power, like that thing that it is.
Not a god.
Yeah.
Well, would you define it as a god or no?
all omniscient power. I think you're right. I think they would be a god.
Okay. So then you're a pure agnostic. If it's 50-50, then you're a pure agnostic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
All right.
So then what's the
All right.
difference between agnostic and atheist?
Well, we have I'm an agnostic atheist, and then you're a pure agnostic. An agnostic atheist who is somebody who doesn't believe in a god, but wouldn't go and make the claim that there is no God, because there are some definitions of gods that are unfalsifiable. So there's two types of atheists: agnostic atheists and Gnostic atheists. Okay, Gnostic atheist is somebody who doesn't believe in a God and will go as far as making a claim that there is no God. An agnostic atheist is somebody who doesn't believe in a God, but wouldn't go as far as making the claim that there is no God. So I'm actually a Gnostic atheist towards certain definitions of gods, and an agnostic atheist towards some other definitions of God. So any definition of a God that is self-contradictory, by definition, I would be a Gnostic atheist towards that God, right? But any God that is unfalsifiable, I would be an agnostic atheist towards that God, right? So a God that is all able and all knowing is a self-contradictory God, because if you are all knowing, you also know the future, and if you know the future, you're limited by what you know about the future. That knowledge ties your hand. So if you already know what's going to happen in the future, then you already know what you're going to do in the future. So you can't be on all able and all knowing at the same time. So that's a tri-omni God is a self-contradictory God. So towards any tri-omni God, towards any tri-omni God, I would be a Gnostic atheist. But towards a deistic God, I would be an agnostic atheist. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but that's based on what our current knowledge of time and everything is on, right? Like future with time.
Yeah, but any God that goes beyond our reasoning and knowledge, then you have to be an agnostic atheist towards, because if it's beyond our reasoning to understand, then it's beyond. So it would be beyond our reasoning to believe it. So any God that is above our understanding, we have no business believing in, because it's above our understanding. I cannot say I believe in something, and if I like, okay, what's the evidence? Like, oh, it's beyond your understanding. If it's beyond your understanding, then you have no business believing in it. You could just only claim lack of knowledge.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Someone said, ask God to show themselves to you, and they will. Yeah, I think I did a lot.
I did too.
And he wasn't there, and I was like,
times.
why am I suffering? Why is everyone suffering? Like, what? You know, if he loves me, why am I?
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, that was fun. And you answered a question that I've thought about for a long time.
Well, okay. And somebody saying that's where faith comes in. Exactly. Faith is believing in things that you don't have a good reason to believe in. So I do agree with that. That's where faith comes in. By the way, guys, buy my best-selling book. Somebody said,
Was it Why God is Dead?
No, it's why
there is no God.
Yes. Lior in the chat mentioned Armin is a best-selling author. Yes, I am. So check that out. Available now on Amazon. All right, guys. This was fun. I enjoyed it. And guys, again, one more time, subscribe to Ali's YouTube channel. Link in the chat. Link also in the description, I hope. If it's not, it will be there soon. It's not. Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. Ali's. Okay, I will put that after the live is over. Okay, guys. Link will also be in the description within a few minutes. And yeah, so I'm Israel Chai. Long live America. Oh, so usually I go to Goldie and say, yeah, okay, but you don't believe in God either. So just long live America. Javid Shah, Payende Iran.
Javid Shah, Payende Iran.